I had no idea that I was being trafficked. I really thought he cared about me and that he really wanted to have this great life with me. And even though he was abusive, I still felt like he loved me because I knew he wouldn't ever give up on me or leave me abandoned. So my home life as a child was pretty crazy. It was very chaotic and unstable, abusive. Never really received the love that I needed as a child. When I was being sexually abused and physically abused, that's the only time that I felt wanted or loved. I had met this man. He made me feel special, and that's really what led me to falling victim to him, was the vulnerabilities and him being there when I had no one. And he knew I was vulnerable and he preyed on that. He asked me if I ever thought about being with anyone for money, and of course I didn't. I thought I could never do that. And he was offering me all this and promising me that this would just be for a little while, and one day we'd have this great life together and we'd be successful and none of what I'm doing now would matter. That's what led me into being sold for almost 9 years. So I was working in Miami, Florida, on the streets out there, and I was arrested in an undercover sting operation. I received a grand theft charge and a prostitution charge. The grand theft was because the man had put some money on the dresser and my trafficker trained me to take whatever I could find. But I received the charge and he was let off. So whenever people run a background check, a prostitution and grand theft charge would come up, and it was a felony. They see that charge, I look like a prostitute and a thief to them.
The fact that she probably could have had those charges avoided had she told the police about her trafficker just speaks to how much control these traffickers have over the survivors. But she was so afraid to tell them what was happening to her that she took the charges, and now she has felonies on her record as a result of the fact that she was exploited by somebody else.
I was in Houston and my trafficker had gotten pulled over, and I called him and the police answered the phone and they told me to meet them there, and they were asking me all these questions about him, and I was just pretending I didn't know what they were talking about, like I wasn't telling on him, and they were just very aggressive and they just wrote me a bunch of tickets, and it was because I wasn't giving them information. They were just making it really hard on me. So then those tickets turned into warrants, and it was like almost $700 in warrants and fines. Having those charges on my record was like a nightmare. Every time, which your background is ran when you get an apartment, it's ran when you get a job, and it prevents me from moving on.
A lot of times the trafficked person is the person who ends up with the criminal charge. The traffickers are the bigger fish and sometimes harder to catch. And so when they get the person that they want to accuse of prostitution, they've got their crook. But once you identify that this person is a victim of the scheme, they're no longer a criminal, and they need to be exonerated, completely clean from, everything that they're doing or that they are accused of doing.
Finally, some people were put in my life that revealed what actually happened to me. They brought me to a safe house program called Redeem Ministries, and they got me out for good, and they connected me to Joseph Project.
We were able to connect her with an attorney in Florida that's working on having those charges expunged from her record, which would be extremely significant for her because having felonies on your record makes it very difficult to find employment, housing, schooling. All those things are negatively impacted by a felony record. For all the traffic tickets that Amanda had, we connected her with attorney Brittany Jackson, and Brittany was able to have all of those charges dismissed.
And what's so cool about the Joseph Project is they tie everything that the survivor has been through to trafficking. And so when you call and say, hey, we have this situation, this is a survivor of human trafficking, it's easy for me to explain, and they're like, oh, where's my pen? I'm signing the dismissal. It's super cool to hear how relieved they get.
I just remember feeling so hopeless, and to know that people are really there that care about me, and I'm just overcome with gratitude. I'm so grateful that the past is really over and that I'm walking in my purpose.